These little babies you can plant in your yard, your garden. Hyacinth bulbs. They're usually pretty deep. You don't have to plant them as deep as you find them, but you do have to plant them at least 2 inches down. We're going to show you guys how to utilize hyacinth bulbs. Grape hyacinth, which is naturalized. And we're going to show you how to make hyacinth lemonade. It's an onion-like bulb. We'll show you how to work these and how to make food out of them. We're going to go pick some flowers. We got these right after they finished flowering. And now we're going to go pick some flowers and make some hyacinth lemonade, kind of. See you in a little bit. Dawn has to do most of the picking and I get to do some of the filming because I'm crippled in a cast. Grape hyacinth has always been kind of one of my favorite naturalized flowers. There is a wild species that's white, but grape hyacinth is aptly named because if you look very closely at the flowers, they look like little grapes. I'm gonna make vegetable to eat for supper tonight, go in our salad, and we're gonna make hyacinth lemonade. See you guys in the kitchen. We got some neat things to show you about this now that we're in the kitchen. Getting these flower petals off only took about 5 minutes. I don't know whether any of you have ever made jellies out of flowers, but the hyacinth flower is probably one of the easiest flowers I've ever worked for. You just kind of roll these flower petals off. Now it is kind of important that you don't get any of the stem in there because of the saponins that causes it to kind of froth up. It's the same thing that's in yucca or soapweed, where you can wash your hands or wash your hair with it, and that is what makes things better. So if you get it in your water infusion hyacinth flowers, then you're going to have a slightly bitter taste, and it's best to keep the stalk out of it. The flower bulbs are the same way, which I'm going to show you some really neat stuff about that as soon as I explain this. Now that I have all my flower petals in this bowl, I am going to take clean, clear water. I'm going to put it in a mason jar, take clean, clear water, and just cover it. Then I'm going to set it in the refrigerator for 24 hours, and you'll get to see that at the end of the video, the result of making lemonade. Now, a lot of people will take boiling water and they will steep these flower petals. It'll turn a beautiful color. The thing is, we're after the vitamin A and the vitamin C that's in this. And if you use boiling water, it kind of kills most of that. So that's what we're going to do with this. Now, how to prepare the bulbs, which are kind of an interesting vegetable. The first thing I wanted to show you is on a lot of the bulbs you get these cute little babies. I don't know whether you can see that in the camera or not, but these little babies you can just pull right off and plant them. Now the problem with these little babies is you don't know which direction to plant them. Up usually is the correct way, but how do you know which way's up? Anyway, you can replant these relatively easily. Hyacinths plant really well. I remember growing up we had yards, we didn't have lawns. And the difference in my mind between a yard and a lawn is a yard is full of all these wonderful edible things that you can go out in the spring and collect and gather and eat before your garden has even begun to take off. So you have plenty of salads and plenty of vitamin C and plenty of nutrients in your yard. The problem is everyone thinks that it's a status symbol to have a lawn, and so they saturate it with poisons, and there's nothing for the bees, and there's no dandelions and nothing else. For the bulbs, you just cut the bottom of the root off, and then you cut the stalk off, and then you peel this like so. And it isn't even crucial that you get it all off, because you're going to rinse these, throw them in a bowl, rinse them, and then you're going to cover these with water. Now I mentioned the saponins that's in this plant. You're going to cover this with water for 24 hours and set it in the fridge. After that, you're just going to pour the water off, and you'll mix 1 part of water to 1 part of vinegar, bring it to a boil with some salt on the stove, and blanch these, or throw them in there for 10 minutes if you're going to throw them in a salad. Then you can slice them, throw them in a salad, then you can put them in a soup, you can put them in a casserole, you can do any of that. Now I mentioned the saponins that's in this plant. I'll show you real quick if I can get this crushed up. Hopefully I can get it crushed up. My hands aren't wet, but if they were, you could see that this is now starting to get really greasy. I could wash my hands with this. It's just amazing, the soap that's in it. You dip that in water and you'll have soap all over your hands. Anyway, in our yards we had hyacinth that Grandma had planted, and they would bloom, and the whole yard would be this beautiful purple grape hyacinth everywhere. And it always disturbed me to see that get mowed. But they're hardy, they're tough, and you can mow right over it, and it does stunt the size of the flower that you get, but it doesn't hurt them at all. So hyacinth is a wonderful hardy plant that you can put in your yard, put in your garden, and use without any complication. So I am going to steep this in water for 24 hours. I'm going to finish cleaning these, set them in water for 24 hours, and then we'll have a vegetable to add to a salad or a soup or a casserole, and we will have hyacinth lemonade. I'll show you that here tomorrow. Now that the hyacinth lemonade, the flowers of the hyacinth, have steeped in cool water for 24 hours, I filtered it twice with cheesecloth. And that's what you get. It's hard to see, but it's a really odd looking blue color. Now you'll add some lime or some lemon juice and then sweeten to taste. Now if you boil it, you're going to kill most of the vitamin C, but there's vitamin C and there's vitamin A in here, and it makes kind of a zesty lemonade. But if you taste this without the lemon or the lime in it, you're going to get kind of a soapy taste. It'll keep you from cussing. It's really not that bad. But taste it before you put the lemon juice in, and then add lemon juice and add sugar or honey to your personal preference. It's a wonderful, wonderful beverage that is full of vitamin C. It's a neat thing to do with hyacinth with kids. And then of course the bulbs make excellent additives. Let me hold that up to the light so no one can get. Now one more thing that I wanted to say is normally in our videos I give everyone kind of a description on how to identify the plant. I didn't do that with hyacinths, and the reason that I didn't is because without the flower, hyacinth resembles bunches of different alliums and galliums and many other plants, camas even. And the stems look tubular, or the leaves look tubular, but when you look at them close, they'll open up and they're flat. They're also kind of almost a succulent. But the flower is the main identifier. It looks so much like a tiny little grape. They're bell-shaped. The opening to it's very tiny. It's almost unmistakable. So get yourself familiar with the plant while it's in bloom, and get yourself familiar with the plant bulbs while it's in bloom if you plan on utilizing it in your garden or for any homemade lemonades or eating the bulbs or anything like that. Once you've used the plant a couple of times, it's really easy to know without it being in bloom. And that was the one reason that I didn't give any key identification features, because the only key identification feature really is the bloom until you get used to seeing it. Anyway, give this one a shot, Grape Hyacinth. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Happy and safe foraging.